everyone, I'm Matt Clark, research analyst with Money Markets, here with your weekly marijuana market update. Now make sure you do subscribe to our YouTube channel and get notified each and every time we put up a new video. Just make sure you click that subscribe button and then mash that notification bell. You get notified every time we put out something new. Now we have launched our new membership program here on YouTube as well. It gives you exclusive access to even more cannabis market content. It includes new videos, interviews with cannabis insiders, monthly live chat with me, which I'm going to get to here in just a second, and blog posts about movements in the cannabis market. Just click join on our homepage, on our channel's homepage rather, and you can find out more about how you can become a part of this awesome community. Now, before I forget, we have scheduled our next live chat on YouTube for 4 p.m. Thursday, September 9th, and it's going to be open to everyone. I sweet talked the boss, and he was okay with it. So everyone can take part in the live chat this time around. Again, it's 4 o'clock Thursday, September 9th. We're going to put some more information on our community tab on YouTube so you can find out more about it. You'll be able to hop on and ask me about cannabis stocks, the broader cannabis market. We're going to talk about some potential legalization and much, much more. So make sure you join us. That's 4 o'clock Thursday, September 9th here on YouTube. Now today, in today's update, I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to answer a listener question about buying cannabis stock options. And then I'm going to share one thing that could kind of put a crimp in federal legalization of cannabis. Now, I'll start off with the listener question. I got an email from Jim at feedback@moneymarkets.com, and he said, I'm enjoying Matt's output on the cannabis market, and I'm glad I joined the community as a premium member. Thank you for that, by the way. I would like to hear Matt's thoughts on options on cannabis stocks. Thanks, Jim. Well, thank you for your question, Jim. Be on the lookout. My team is going to reach out to you here shortly. We're going to send you some Money and Market swag for sending us your question and for us using it, which anyone can do, by the way. Now, to refresh, I'd be remiss if I didn't actually kind of go over options, at least give you a 30,000-foot view of options before I dove into it. Now, there are two main types of options you can buy on the market. There's a call option, and a call option basically gives you the right to buy a stock in the future at a predetermined price. And then there's a put option. This gives you the right to sell a stock in the future at a predetermined price. And now there are many other subcategories within that. There are straddles, there are covered calls, there are all sorts of things like that. I'm not going to get into that right now because that kind of dilutes the question a little bit. And then the beauty of buying call or put options is that your losses are typically, not always, but typically limited to a premium you pay for the options. They can be more depending on what you buy and how you buy it. Now, call options have the potential for unlimited gain potential, while put options have limited maximum gain. So it's one thing to kind of keep in mind. Call options are, look at it this way, call options are a bullish view on an underlying asset, while put options are more bearish. That's a kind of an easier way to look at the difference between calls and puts. Now, for call option buyers, you're looking for a stock price to be at or above the strike price of your option. Now, and for put option buyers, you're looking for a stock price to be at or lower than the strike price of your option. That's how you make money on options. That's one thing you have to look at right away. There's much more to it than that. These are just kind of the broad strokes. So, but just keep that in mind. We'll dive into options a lot more here on our YouTube channel. We already have, but we're going to keep going into options a little bit more. Now, as for cannabis options, they work the same way as any other option. Don't think of it as a cannabis option. Just it's a bullish or bearish bet on an asset. It's no different than if you were to buy an option on Apple or Amazon or Facebook or anything like that. It's really no different. You just have to understand the broader market movements within cannabis. I recently actually did a video here on YouTube with Chief Investment Strategist Adam O'Dell, where we talked about how you can make money with options, and you can check out that video on our YouTube channel. Now, in that video, Adam brought up an interesting number that you really should know before you buy an option, and that is implied volatility. This is the annualized volatility investors expect from the stock. The higher the percentage of implied volatility, the higher the volatility is expected to be. And this is a factor when you consider the cost of an option. And before buying an options contract, you should compare the implied volatility with the historic volatility or the actual volatility that a stock has incurred over a certain period of time. An underpriced option would be one with a higher historic volatility compared to implied. So if it's got a higher historic volatility, a lower implied volatility, it's generally an underpriced option, which could be a good thing. Now, I pull up an example here with GrowGeneration. trades on the NASDAQ under GRWG. It's one of our cannabis watch list stocks. And this is kind of what it looks like for options that are dated January 21st of 2022. You can see that each option has different implied volatility, and you compare that with the 84.7% historical volatility to find a potential underpriced option contract to buy. There's more to it than that, but this is just kind of a start. Again, we're going to talk more about this in upcoming videos. This is just kind of giving an overview to Jim's question. Now, in terms of what cannabis options I think you should buy, it really all depends on whether you're bearish or bullish on certain cannabis stocks. Then, of course, you have to determine just how bullish and bearish you really are. I don't recommend options for our cannabis watch list, but I'm certainly willing to look. And if you do have a particular stock that you want me to look at for an options contract, then email me at feedback@moneymarkets.com. We'll flash that down below. But remember, the options game is not as straightforward as buying and selling stocks. So you have to understand that it's a different lingo. It's not hard. It's just there's a different lingo. There's a different data set you need to look at. It's not just going to your broker or your online stock trader and hitting buy or sell. You have to really do some research to find out what the best option contract out there is for what you're intending it to do. Again, we'll talk more about options later, and we have before, but I just want to kind of give an overview. Thanks, Jim, again for your question, and also for joining our exclusive membership program here on YouTube. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about cannabis legalization. When my kids ask me kind of what's guaranteed in life, and this usually stems from, I should have gotten this, I should have done that. I said, there's no guarantees in life except for death and taxes. And for the cannabis industry, taxes take on a whole different meaning. Because it's federally illegal, cannabis companies are taxed under a provision of U.S. code that does not allow them to deduct a lot of their standard operating expenses. And according to New Frontier Data, a cannabis data research company, most cannabis companies are paying around 60% in taxes. Compare that to the standard business tax rate in the U.S. of just 21.5%. So you can see kind of why cannabis companies aren't necessarily profitable. It's because they are paying a lion's share of taxes. And it's because they're in an industry that's considered illegal from the federal standpoint. Now, as you can see with this chart here that I'm showing you, those higher taxes are passed on to consumers who pay as much as 37% in taxes in states like California and Washington. Those who buy cannabis really don't seem to mind that as cannabis sales across the country continue to go up. So it's really kind of it's a trade-off. It's not really one of those things that cannabis buyers are really complaining about. Under the proposed Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act, cannabis would essentially become a legal business, and companies would now no longer be subject to the same taxes they are now under the U.S. Code provision. However, it could be of little relief to cannabis companies here in the United States. Under the proposed bill, which is currently is in the Senate, it's not really nothing's being done with it, it's just been filed. A federal excise tax would be assessed in scale. The wholesale excise tax would be assessed to transactions primarily between producers and processors and producers and retailers, according to New Frontier data. Now, if the bill were to pass in its current form, and I really doubt it will, the excise tax would start at 10%. That's for the year it's enacted and year one. After that, it goes up to 15% in year two, 20% in year three. After the fourth year, that excise tax would reach a cap of 25% of prevailing sales price in the U.S. per ounce of THC sold. Analysis of the tax rate by New Frontier Data found the cannabis industry would likely actually face higher taxes under the proposed legislation than it currently does. So if you think paying 60% is high, it could actually be worse under the new legislation. Now, you have to look at the big picture here. Companies are saddled with very high state taxes already, and that's one of the selling points that was used to kind of sell legalization to voters, that we're going to tax it and we're going to use all this new income to build schools, to improve roads, to do for law enforcement, for social justice, for whatever. That was a big selling point to make cannabis legal. And you toss in a high wholesale excise tax, and it doesn't really do cannabis businesses any favors. It has the potential to make things very difficult, especially for small cannabis operators, as well as hinder potential investment and innovation. Language in the proposed legislation is slick, really, to suggest that cannabis businesses would also see a tax credit Businesses with less than $20 million in sales, in annual sales, would get a 50% tax credit, while those of more than $20 million in sales would get credit on the first $20 million in sales they have in a year. However, to get that credit, there is a catch. Companies would still have to pay the full amount of taxes until the credit is applied. And in some cases, that could be up to a year, even longer, after the taxes are filed. So it's kind of a numbers game. And you have to be very wary here. Essentially, as a business, you're going to be paying taxes fully up front. And then up to a year, maybe even later down the road, you'll get a rebate on 50% of those taxes. But you still incur the cost up front right away. So you have to consider that. And that could be very volatile and very dangerous, especially for small business operators. The higher taxes will continue to be passed on to you, the consumer, in the form of higher retail prices. But this presents an even greater problem here, as the legal market continues to face headwinds from the illegal market. Illegal cannabis is typically sold much less at a much less price, a lower price point than legal cannabis. Higher retail prices for legal cannabis will push more buyers into the cheaper illicit market. Now, this proposed tax structure also treats all cannabis companies the same, which they're not. Many cannabis operators are vertically integrated, which means they are operating in many different fronts. And this proposed tax structure takes away the cost efficiency advantage of that integration. Now, in terms of what this means for you as a cannabis investor, we're still very early in the legislative process here. The bill hasn't even garnered a hearing in a subcommittee yet in the U.S. Senate. Now, if the bill does pass out of the Senate, I doubt it will in its current form. It'll be interesting to see if the tax structure is addressed, and I think it will. So I think right now it's just, as an investor, really not something to worry about in the immediate, but as talks progress, it is something you're going to want to keep an eye on in terms of how this tax structure could impact cannabis businesses already operating in the United States. Now, if you have a question or about a cannabis stock or the broader market, just email me at feedback@moneymarkets.com, or you can comment below down here on YouTube. And if you send us your question or a video of you asking your question, or maybe even a testimonial, and we use it, you're going to get some free Money Market swag. So make sure you do that. I encourage you also to join our free membership, our membership program rather, here on YouTube. In it, I provide weekly updates about stocks on our cannabis watch list, along with exclusive videos, cannabis interviews with cannabis insiders, blog posts, updates on our watch list, all sorts of stuff. Just click the join button here on YouTube and find out more about how you can be involved in this exclusive community. It's a great community, very active, and I'm really glad we have very good participation in it so far. Thank you to all of you who watch our videos each and every week, whether you're watching them here on YouTube or maybe you're part of our exclusive community. Really do appreciate that. I can't thank you enough for having faith and confidence and wanting to hear what we have to say each and every week. So also, you can follow me on Twitter. I like to tweet about the broader stock market as well as cannabis stocks as well. I give you insights, kind of my thoughts on different items in the news and whatnot. You can find me. My handle is at @InvestWithMattC. That's InvestWithMattC on Twitter. You follow me, I try to follow you back, and build a nice community of investors and those who are interested in the stock market. Also check out moneymarkets.com each and every day for new content. We provide you safe, sound, smart, simple, profitable investment information for your portfolio. We do it all 7 days of the week. So make sure you do that and sign up for our free daily e-letter. It comes to your email inbox for free every single day. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money Markets, your host of the Marijuana Market Update. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.